Yeah, a very warm welcome and a fresh welcome as well. Wonderful day we've got today. It's day 3 of the 64th edition of the Tour of Poland. It's destination Gdansk today as we glide through the forests of northern Poland on the second of 4 relatively flat stages before the 2 really mean ones. Talk about 2 really mean guys. Look at this out front. Talk about sucker for punishment. Łukasz Bodnar, who led and took all of the sprints, the intermediates, yesterday, and got caught by the general peloton just as we came into the close of stage 2. Today he's got a bit of help, and it's in the form of Nicolas Rousseau, one of the stagiaires from his team AG2R last year. Great amateur record. He's only a young man, and he's decided to help out, and that's exactly what Łukasz Bodnar wanted. Probably going to be a sprint finish. We assume they'll be caught again, but they are separated from the general peloton by about just over 7.5 minutes for the time being. They haven't really started to try and wind them in just for now, but I'm sure they will. My name's Carlton Kirby, alongside me David Duffield. David, what about this Bodnar character?
He's going to be technically race leader on the road, because 3, 2 and 1 are not only the points but also the time bonus at the intermediate sprints as we go through here. Yesterday he got, 3 of them, so it gave him 9 seconds bonus. So right now this guy is beginning to try and take over the leader's jersey. He's going to get snaffled towards the end, no doubt about it. But the big thing about time trialling, which he's been doing, normally you can't do 2 days on the trot because you've got very tired legs next day. But he doesn't have tired legs here, but he's going out there, he's going to try and show. And of course he's got another guy with him at the moment who might try and take over the intermediate sprints and points with him. But it had something before we get to finish, because they're going to snaffle them up. So it's something to talk about here. Are there going to be technical leads on the road? Will he be technical leads on the road? And what's going to happen then? Because behind, chasing to keep that leader's jersey, the Rabobank team have got a lot of work to do now, because they're finding themselves in a position to look after the leader's jersey on the shoulders of Graham Brown. They've brought quite a younger team here at the moment. They're glad to be in there looking after the leader's jersey. So we've got an interesting day ahead of us.
Well, they're not exactly pushing it so far, but I suspect they might well crank up the pace a little bit if the peloton does start to come back at them. And we can take a look at today. It's going to be an interesting one, this. The open from Ostrava through the streets and then going north to Gdansk. None of the shenanigans of yesterday. It's a relatively uncomplicated run for home through the streets, and there it is, big long loop cutting back into this famous port city, where of course the Solidarity movement was launched all those years ago with Lech Walesa and his mighty, I remember he had a 3-foot-long pen when he signed the documents to take over as president. It had a tassel on the end. I think it was the military having a little bit of a joke at his expense. Well, far from being joking today, Intel Action Unique, they may be the Polish wildcard team, but they've given us their Polish time trial champion, Łukasz Bodnar, and for the time being, he's out front and making a good fist of this, David.
And technically, at some point, going to be race leader on the road, I suppose, before he gets snaffled up and they're all down to the sprint finish again. We've got work to be done today by the Rabobank team, because they've got to keep Graham Brown in the frame. And again, they've got to pull this lot back, because going into the stage today with only 3 seconds bonus ahead of Wayland, and then 6 back to Wadu. So it's still close and up to the shouts of the end, but I think they could probably do the job today. It looks like a much better finish than we had yesterday, where they're all cutting and shotting and jumping all over the place. Quite fascinating it was yesterday, but I think it's much more what I call a normal finish today, and I think the Rabobank team can control it better than we saw yesterday, because the Lamprey team had all sorts of trouble, didn't they?
Oh, they worked hard. They worked very hard. And well, we had a rather unusual several loops through and lots of hairpins, which a lot of riders were cutting. We were quite concerned about them yesterday in the run for home. I'm hoping that it's a little bit more ordered today. It's more likely to be. You've seen the finish in Gdansk. It's more of a fair old loop. Plenty of right-handers all the way back to the finish line. It will be dramatic, that's for sure, but the man in the red jersey at the moment is our friend Łukasz Bodnar. At the top of the hour, we will be hooking up with Sean Yates, incidentally. His Discovery team will be no more at the end of the season. We'll be inquiring as to what his plans are for the future. Also, what his plans are for this one, and the likes of Sean Cummings, Team Pursuit Specialists. Expect to see him perhaps featuring towards the end. They haven't looked exactly as if this is the most important race in their life, David. Let's put it that way.
Well, the trouble is, you see, Carlton, with so many flat stays to begin with, it's down to the sprinters teams to control the thing. If you haven't got a sprinter in your squad, all you're doing is going to ride in towards you get the last 2 days when you get amongst the mountains. So they're just using it as a warm-up. So it's very interesting how it's going to be setting up until they go towards the finish, when the teams which we're not seeing now will come back into action on the last 2 days, providing they all stay upright, out of trouble, and don't get brought down in some of the pushing and shoving like we saw yesterday when they're cutting corners and causing all sorts of mayhem. But rather than they come in, teams we're not talking about now for the next few days are still waiting, biding their time, and this race blows apart the scene for the last 2 days. So it's it's like reading a good book, isn't it, to try and find out towards the end. It builds up to crescendo, and that's what's going to happen in this race this year again. We keep going back to the main town. We're going to finish today. Can I just pop in a nice little story about yesterday? Because I was looking at the results of the Vuelta, the Tour of Spain, and there Philip Dynon finished 12th, by the way, at 51 seconds in that stage into Andorra. I know that today is the day of rest as regards the Tour of Spain, which is being covered on our main Eurosport 1 coverage. And I know this programme we're covering today will not only be here on Eurosport 2, but tonight it's going out on British Eurosport as well. But I don't know if you caught up with it yesterday, watching our coverage of the Tour of Spain. Then back there in 12th spot was young Philip Dynon, 51 seconds, and I've been singing his praises quite a lot, this Irish lad, and I think that was a significant performance from him yesterday. Just looking down the results of yesterday, apart from the fact that it's now falling into a shape, I was looking down there and seeing little things of interest, and I thought I must mention Philip Dynon today.
Good lad.
I'm his great supporter.
Yes, and a big up as well to Mark Cavendish, who did so well, of course, in the Tour of Great Britain, which is going on. And just a heads up for everybody out there as well, we will be showing highlights of the entire Tour of Britain on this Sunday, this coming Sunday. So look forward to your company for that. But just to spoil it slightly for you, as we look at 61 kilometres to go here on today's third stage of the Tour of Poland. Yes, Mark took the prologue in London, and now he's come back and taken the Monday stage as well. So good luck to him, and running well.
I think that gives him 10 victories, I think, so far this season, and he's looking to try and do 11 victories to equal, oh God, the big Italian sprinters first year. So he's very close to that. I think he has a fair chance now of doing just that.
He's doing great things for T-Mobile. He's only 22 years of age, and of course had a very, very rough time of things in the Tour de France. He just had to pull out of that, but he's clearly back on form after good R&R.
Yes, so looking down there, yes, in fact, it's Pataki. Pataki had in his first season 11 victories, and so we're now getting Mark Cavendish from T-Mobile on 10, may well make 11 and equal that. And look what Pataki's gone on to do over the years gone by. So very interesting the way in which Mark Cavendish, a sprinter who's come from the background of the British track setup, and now is taken to the road like a duck to water.
That's really where it's all begun for the Brits, isn't it? They brought on the track boys, and they've just moved onto the road and done a tremendous job. It's kind of the second wave, if you like, of the Foreign Legion, of which, of course, Sean Yates was part of the main vanguard of the opening Brits that went out there and lit up our lives for such a long time.
He was, Sean Yates, out there, the Foreign Legion, they call them, out there, and they went... Mr. Piper himself, who worked with us on Eurosport from time to time, he's part of that from Australia. He joined them as well, so a fair number of riders went out there. Graham, who's the other one that went out? We had loads of guys anyway who went out there and set themselves up, and
we're just hearing that poor old Sean Yates is out of signal at the moment. It's going straight to his answer machine. He is, as you might expect from a team director. Sorry about that. We just got interrupted with the news that Sean's out of range just for now. So I do hope we can hook up with him, because Sean was part of that group as well that went out there and did so many great things.
He was, and not only that, did he great things starting out with they were based out in Paris, and they were an amateur team, and they set up from there. And the big thing about Sean is he's still riding his bike, by the way. I remember him taking the yellow jersey in the Tour de France by about, I don't know, 10 or 11 seconds on the particular stage in the Tour. Took the yellow jersey. We were hanging on for grim death when he came across the line, counting back. We were looking down the line to see if he was going to take the yellow jersey. But he did just that.
And I believe we've got Sean on the line now. Sean, are you with us?
Yes, I am indeed, yeah.
Oh, terrific. Great to have you on board. We've just been singing your praises, you might be glad to know.
Can you, Sean, sing your praise about Graham Brown, by the way? How do you rate his sprinting yesterday? Because he's been a bit of an erratic rider over the years. What's your opinion of him yesterday and looking back at his performances, good or bad, in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I first encountered Graham at the Australian Institute of Sport in '99, and he didn't really look like a bike rider, but he's shown over the years with his performances in the team pursuit in particular that he's definitely got a fantastic turn of speed. And although, yeah, like I say, he doesn't always strike you as being the biggest professional in the group, he often, he pops up with the wins now and then, even though, sometimes he's slightly erratic and he's not got the best reputation as a sort of smooth sprinter.
So what's pressure that going to put upon his team, Rabobank, now today to try and pull back our 2 breakaways? They're a long way down the road, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, obviously there's still a long way to go, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. There are plenty of other teams, as we saw yesterday, who've got sprinters, and they will also help if it looks like that the break's not going to come back straight away. But, now that Graham's shown that he's got a good turn of speed, it's given them some incentive to chase.
What happened to Lamprey, though? They did the chasing yesterday, and they should have surely got Ballan up with a sprint at the back at the end of it. They failed. Did they do too much work yesterday?
Well, I mean, they did have the lead, although that didn't really mean much because there was no time gaps. Lamprey are one team that definitely like to ride a lot on the front, and they have a lot of success. And obviously, just because you ride on the front doesn't mean they're going to win the stage. And yesterday was quite particular in that it was quite a hard sprint, and there was no escape. The guy with the strongest legs was going to win, and that was Brown yesterday.
What about the circuit, though, yesterday? Chopping and chaining and ducking and diving. This Tour of Poland has a sort of reputation for strange finishes. Were you happy as a team manager and the rest of the riders with the situation yesterday?
Well, I mean, as you say, it has a bit of a reputation. That's the 3rd year in a row we used that circuit. Last year, we won on that circuit with Max van Heeswijk. So, I mean, we know that the roads here aren't the best, and the riders are ready and prepared for that. Today, as it happens, there's no finishing circuit, so, it's not really a problem. But, yeah, it's not the best scenario in the world to have a very bumpy and dangerous finishing circuit like that.
It was nasty, Sean. We were quite concerned about some of the riders actually cutting it and others getting potentially T-boned. There was a lot of backing up within the peloton and caused a lot of problems. I just wondered, when it comes to motivation, I know the Discovery Channel, the funding's coming to an end. What are your plans for 2008? Is there anything you can tell us yet? Something we should look forward to?
I'm hoping on to stay in the bike game. As of yet, I can't announce anything.
Well,
I'm just hoping that in the next couple of weeks I will be able to. But I'm quite hopeful that I'll be in the game still next year and beyond.
Excellent. Well, we hope so too. Just on the last point before we leave you, the Discovery Channel, as it is coming to a close, that team. What about team spirit and motivation as we, when you've got this end of season now? Are people's minds starting to drift, or have you still managed to sort of keep that cohesion within the entire team?
I think, as you say, it's near the end of the season. The team is disbanding. It's the Tour of Poland, not the most exotic location in the world. But, we have a good bunch of guys here. And although, again, yesterday we lost Beku, and today we lost Trent Lowe with a bad stomach. So we're down 6 riders. But the rest, their spirits are up and we have a good laugh. And
excellent.
Everyone has a contract for next year, so, the spirit is good.
Sean, you started out with ACBB out there, but the Foreign Legion, they call it, many years ago gone by, the sort of first British or English-speaking advance that went out there. What's your opinion now about young Mark Cavendish, looking back over the years of your experience out there, yellow jersey, the Tour de France, and you're still involved in the sport? Any comment about Mark Cavendish? He's just taken the yellow jersey in the Tour of Britain.
Yeah, obviously Mark is, he's a fantastic natural talent. And it's been a couple of years at least now since he took that World Championship. So we know that he has a great turn of speed and he's a great British cyclist. He's raw talent. He's very determined. I don't really know him personally, as I have talked to him a couple of times. And he's got a great future ahead of him.
Well, thank you for that then. We'll talk to you anon during the rest of the race, not today but tomorrow. Thanks for your contribution, by the way. Nice to see the Brits doing well, and you were one of the guys who pioneered what we've seen, this new wave, and thanks for talking today on Eurosport. OK, Sean, back to driving, keeping on what's going on. Wish you the best of luck for the day and the rest of the tour. Bye.
Yeah, thanks Sean.
David.
Cheerio.
Cheers, bye.
Always great to hear from Sean Yates. He's one of the great stalwarts, and interesting as well that he's going to, I think he's already got plans in his mind about what he's going to head on to next year. There's been lots of rumours, some strong, some not so. And, well, Sean Yates is the kind of guy that you just want to keep on board as far as cycling is concerned. Always happy to talk to us. And that, you know, from a team director in the middle of the peloton is a real gem as far as we're concerned, particularly on a day like today. These two guys out in front. There's one of our co-leaders, it's Nico Russo, and they might start to have a little bit of belief here. They've picked up the pace themselves, David, and Lucas Bodnar and our friend Nico here are starting to pick it up. I wonder if we can get a speed gun on them, or at least have a look at, occasionally you can ask the cameraman, you know, just to switch the camera down to his own speedo. But whether he'll do that for us, I don't know. They possibly, there is the leader's jersey relaying back at the moment to our graphics people, so they should be able to tell us in a moment. They don't look like they're full on it yet, but they also look like they've got perhaps something in reserve here, David.
No, certainly, I think now they realise that the gap is coming down. Exactly the same, we saw the same thing yesterday, didn't we, with this young lad in the red jersey, that he sat on the tops for a bit, and now they got closer and closer, then his team car came up, gave him the ball and said, right, go for it now, get on the finishing circuit, wave the flag, and he sort of got a new lease of life, because they're even at the front here, you're only running about 8-9 tenths. You don't go 10 tenths.
There we go.
They're beginning to go now. They realise they kept something in the tank, and off they go. And then suddenly the bunch behind realise they're not going to catch them that easy. So this is a little chase which goes on. And back in the main group and back in the team cars, they're trying to work out the speed at which they're going now, and then going back to the group behind and working out how many seconds per kilometre they're going to start pulling them back. And now, what a lovely shot. Men in action. And so the gap is coming down slowly but surely. They've got to get exactly right. And interesting too, Lamprey beginning to take a charge of the chase.
Yeah, saw that, and you just had a look at Rabobank. They kind of drifted off to the edge as we were chasing behind them. They drifted off to the left of the main bunch of the peloton, and Lamprey have taken up the cudgel, if you like, and are trying to beat down some of the gap between these two. But they've likewise responded, and they're out there and going for it. And all credit to them for doing exactly that, taking on the last bit of power bars here, a little bit of something to keep them going.
There's certainly action here. By the way, if our cameras go back down again, Carlton, to this young lad on 82A, he's riding a bike called B-Twin. It's the most unusual bike name I've ever seen. It's B-T to B-Twin, and it used to be basically something to it. It's, I don't know, it's the most oddball name, it's the most oddball graphics I've ever seen. I've been in the bike industry all my life, and I don't know. I'm going to try and find out where it comes from. Well, so that's my friend Brian Montgomery out there, who's back there in Paris.
It'll be somewhere like Andorra, you know that?
No, B-Twin. No, it's a French manufacturer, and they've got it because it's basically Twin. So yeah. I don't know what it is. It's a very unusual brand name they've got there. They've invented it in the last couple of years. In fact, I think it's used to be part of the oh hell, what's that big group that sells lots of bikes out there? And it'll come back to you in a minute.
It's crystal ball time with David Duffield at the moment. Add your own answers. Lamprey at the head of things at the moment. Quickstep also getting involved here, and it's good to see, David, that they're actually sharing responsibility here. But I still don't know whether they're going to get back.
Well, they will catch them in the end. I'm still trying to think of this big supermarket group that just have bikes under their own name.
Champion.
Champion? No, it wasn't Champion. It's something else.
Oh, Leclerc?
No. They've
all been involved.
Yes, I know, but and they had the bikes on their own name, and nobody bought them because they didn't want to be riding around with the brand name of a big supermarket group that sold lots of bicycles and things like that.
Remember Fine Fair? Wasn't them, was it?
No, it wasn't them. I'll come back to you in a minute.
There we have it, 46 kilometres per hour. I remember
We've got a website somewhere. Perhaps somebody will whack it in our website. We haven't got time to go on the website, find out the answer to this question. Answers on the postcard, please, to Eurosport. No, it'll come back to you in a minute.
So, do forgive us for our levity today. It's been a difficult day with pictures breaking up all over the place. We have now, thankfully, got a look-see back to the bikes. We lost all of that. It was just one helicopter shot for most of it. So if you're just joining us, you're pretty lucky, to be honest. Here are our leading pair, and well, Lucas Bodnar in the leader's red jersey there did such sterling work yesterday, and he really clearly intends to do something rather special. There is a Fiat car, I think it's a Fiat Bravo, it is indeed, on offer to the winner, and hence I suppose the main sponsor and the red jersey bearing that name. There is the peloton chasing him down at the moment, and it is starting just to string out. A lot of responsibility being taken here by individual teams who are just dragging him along. Quick Step getting involved here, though, David. Anyone from there that you fancy, apart from Grabowski?
Not really, no. I think they will do what they have to do to pull back that, because I think they're taking part just to close it down, to make sure that by the time we get the last 2 days in the mountains, the gaps aren't too big between who's in the leader's jersey. So certain teams are looking to win overall, but want to make sure that nobody goes down the road, because it's happened sometimes in the past. Everybody sulks and sits back, and you get some guys down there, they earn 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then panic buttons. By the time they get to the mountains, they're still out there, and eventually they I think the manager will say, no, come on, close it down, we'll take part in the chase, because we want to be in with a shout on the final 2 days. I think that's what they're doing. They're not to do well in today's stage, but just make sure the gap isn't too big by the time they get the last 2 days.
Just watch out for the 91, Dimitar Grabowski. He's a time trialist specialist amongst the Quick Step boys. It'd be good to give them a fillip before we start heading towards the mountains. We are up towards the coastline, and as a result, where all the water runs into the sea, it's low-lying, as you can see. It's almost like going through East Anglia at the moment, which is where
I part of the world, isn't it?
Yes, it is these days. Formerly a boy from the South Yorkshire-Derbyshire borders, but yeah, very different terrain indeed, I can tell you that much.
Just the place. Are you starting to ride your bike, young man? Because it's flat out there.
Yes, it's flat and easy. Did some of the old railway lines that have actually been converted to cycle routes. There's a whole network of them nationally. Fantastic if you live near.
Sustrans are doing this.
Yes,
Sustrans.
super job.
They're based just down the road from me in Bristol, and they're doing a wonderful job. In fact, they're saying that everybody lives within, I think it's going to be about 7 to 10 miles of a Sustrans track. Yes. That's their ambition.
And Route 1 comes right by us in Norwich. It's the old railway track, and it's ultimately will go right up to the north of Scotland.
So anybody out there interested in riding their bikes, if not back in this year into next year, go to Sustrans. They've got a website, and find out there, and you'll find out the routes which are certainly they try and get where there's no traffic, or where there's absolutely no traffic at all on the old railway lines. Alternatively, if you go from one railway line to another, they route you through little lanes and so on.
It's kind of the benefit of the beaching cuts that were so bemoaned by the likes of David Duffield, who used to get the train everywhere. Now, of course, you can get the train to London and just about nowhere else, it seems. But yes, the old railway lines still exist, the cuttings, and what's rather beautiful but also quite sad is that you come across all these disused railway stations along the way. You're literally going down what would have been the old tracks and cycling by all of the old platforms. It's really wonderful and quite sad. There's some monuments there. Just while we're watching these two boys in the escape, just humour me for a while. I rode from Norwich out to Reefham, I think it was. It's a 30-mile round trip, but we went by all these old transshipment points, these lovely old stations which were built specifically to put men on to go to war. That's all they were for. And really sad it was. And there's monuments there for all the young lads who never came back. And it must have been, well, it was their last view of their home county. Really sad, but something to think about, certainly when you're out there and cycling along these railway lines. And there is, Sustrans have done a fabulous job, and it's a national project. I think they got lots of Millennium money as well. So do get out there and enjoy it, because it's for your benefit. And as David was saying, you're never more than 10 miles away from one of these tracks, and it's great fun out there. And quite often you find yourself alone.
Do you know where the first track was ever designed by these guys? It came from Bath to Bradford-on-Avon.
Is the Camel Estuary run part of that?
Bath to Bradford Bradford alongside the canal, and that was when they got some young lads who were unemployed, and they went along, and where the Bath to Bradford canal was in those days disused, and where the towpath was, they resurfaced the towpath, and that was the most beautiful run, because outside of where the canal is, it's very hilly, and they Bath to Bradford-on-Avon, and that was the first they started. That's where Sustrans started, and they developed from there.
Fantastic, and that's your part of the world these days.
It is, and I remember that one, and then subsequently they went on down to Bristol to Bath, and that was the first railway track they did, and they developed it on from there. And do look on Sustrans anyway, pick it up, and certainly that's a number of people that now go. I've been along both those tracks, I've been right down to Bristol along there, and the number of people that turn up, they bring the kiddies along, they go and have a picnic alongside there, away from all the traffic, and it's surface, and it's a wonderful way to be out on the bicycles, away from the traffic, and just enjoying themselves. Lovely.
Yep. Get the wind in your hair, get the old thighs burning. It's my mantra at the moment, I can tell you that much. These are the two boys who, certainly, if you're talking about burning thighs, they have done so much work today. I almost feel like shedding a tear when so much effort comes to naught. They have, of course, picked up the various sprint points along the way today, so it's been very, very worthwhile. And as far as raising their own profile, that is what it's all about. But the peloton is encroaching, and they are starting to slow just a little bit. It does have a few gentle rises and falls as we head towards Gdansk today. We'll see whether they manage to bring this one home, David.
Yes, of course, it does happen from time to time, despite the fact that the peloton begin to work it out very well. Oh my goodness, that actually got a machine blowing him here, hasn't it? One of those.
Yes, it's a fan-driven paraglider. There we are.
Good Lord.
You were saying.
Well, the camera's picking up no action at all, but the big bunch now is beginning to close down on our two breakaway rides. Been out all day long, by the way. Poor chaps, it looks like they're going to be swallowed up before we get to finish in Gdansk after when they get the 192 kilometres on this stage 3 of the Tour of Poland, and the bunch look rather keen now to do something about it. So a great shame. Sometimes the two breakaways or one breakaway do stay out there, but I think this is going to be a day when they're getting swallowed up. And the amazing thing is, though, to actually see that this guy here, Bodnar, is having 2 days on the truck, because I thought right now he'd been sat in the bunch there just resting, but he's certainly waving the flag for his team sponsor, and of course from Fiat, who was sponsoring that particular part of the competition. Fiat actually dropped out of sponsorship in cycle racing a bit back. They went through a few fundamental problems, i.e. they lost a lot of money, and they've been actually knocked into shape, have Fiat now, and they're getting back in action. But they supplied for many years the motor cars in the Tour de France. They were very much a main sponsor in the Tour de France, and then they backed off, but they are coming back into this race. Now you see the yellow car just whiz past there. That is the neutral service car that was sat in behind these two riders all day long, but they've had to move them forward now. The press also were behind there, but when the gap comes down to around about a minute or so, then the officials say, come on, get out the way, you lot, because let the dogs see the rabbit. And so at the moment the two rabbits in front, and the dogs here are beginning to bay, and I think it's all over bar the shouting. And so the team cars have gone forward, the official cars have gone through, just leaving. There'll be just one of the official cars possibly there, and then when they see this lot coming up, the number 2 commissaire will drive forward ahead of the race to take up position in case it starts to split later on. So it's now it's all over by the shouting as far as those two lads are concerned, and the action is really coming in full bore into finishing Gdansk.
Well, Lampre have picked up the pace yet again here. They want at least to get a podium spot today. Przeworsk Gdansk is the area we've just passed through, and there's around about 16 coming into the 15 kilometers to go mark. So clearly both David and myself were wrong. We thought they'd be picked up around about the 20 mark, but they're coming into town.
You said 21.
That's true.
I said between 15 and 17.
True enough. But, well, they've managed to hold on to this, David, and well, they don't look like they naturally enough look like they're tiring out there, but they're not taking big gobfuls of breath yet, and I think they might just up it here as soon as they hear on the radios, which all of the cars around them, and look, they're discussing how they're going to do this. It's going to be you and me, mate, so it's between those two.
Yeah, and certainly again you saw the commissaire in the red car beginning to look back and make sure he's got all the traffic out of the way. There was in fact another neutral service car that managed to stay within them, and so they've still got a bit of support in case they puncture. But there again, if they do puncture, it's all over now then, lads.
Yep.
And that's bike racing, by the way. Goodness knows what language they're speaking in, because we've got a French rider here alongside the lad from Poland, and it's interesting. In years gone by, French was the official language of cycling. Wherever you went, you had to learn to speak French, full stop. But now a lot of language is in English, by the way, particularly when you go outside Central Europe, and wherever you go in big races, actually English is often the main language within the organisation, within the team cars and what have you. But still, under many circumstances, French is the national language of cycling, and the riders have to understand French. But now English is beginning to become the second language, or in some parts the main language amongst the riders and the officials as well. So that's the way it's evolved over the years, as these two riders are now, I think, saying, that's it, it's your turn to buy the beer, mate.
Yeah, they've done their job, and interesting enough, T-Mobile have suddenly started to make their move, and Lampre as well, and here is the bunch that are just easing up. They've done their job, and well, it's now the run-in, depending on just where Lucas Bodnar finishes. He may well hold on to that. We'll wait and see. And they have been eaten up well and truly, and away they go off the leash here, and it's Cofidis, and straight off and underway. Who is it? 158. It's our friend Verbrugge. Rick Verbrugge has gone for this one, David, and he's got there's no Bradley Wiggins on board, don't forget, to help him out in this one, but Verbrugge more than capable of having a bash himself. It's whether they can respond out there, and already Lampre are starting to crank it up behind them. This is going to be one run for home here we've got here, David.
Absolutely typical tactics of Rick Verbrugge. This is typically down, but I think probably because a lot of the bunch behind him have had an easy day at the office, I think they're going to catch him. I think he's just showing the flag right now, and certainly having a go for it, but I think he left it just a bit too late.
Already.
That's it. Now I think they're going to come back at him.
Well, they already are, and the Cofidis boys, the Quick Step outfit are there. Quick Step rider trying to close the gap, but Rabobank is staying with it. Graham Brown just looking further back down, looking for the leader's yellow jersey, just off it for the time being. He's got a bunch around him working hard for him, and Verbrugge has picked up the pace again. They still can't wind him in, but they are chasing him down here. Will they get him? Of course they will, but will he stay with them and have another crack? We'll wait and see. Tremendous push here, David.
Yes, it's typical tactics, but it looks a bit like Bradley Wiggins, doesn't he, from the same team as well, although Bradley, I think, is moving on out of Cofidis, and the big clouds are where he's going too, but certainly Cofidis here sending their men off down there. Typical tactics as far as Rick Verbrugge is concerned, but I think he needed a bit of support, and the riders behind him might close it down, but he looks good, looks comfortable, looks right at the moment, but you never know behind, because it must be, it's all about this race this time. Looking back there, they don't seem to have, well, you know, somebody in charge, because certain teams have people in charge, and because we're getting
the end of the season thing as well.
It is, and you've got some riders who know what they're doing, some riders are new kids on the block, they're putting in his stagiaires, young riders putting in amongst the old soldiers as well, and so there's a lack of cohesion. When you get things like the big tours, everybody knows everybody else, they know exactly what they're doing with their team, so sometimes these teams are getting one or two riders in who are not used to riding at this particular level, and so an opportunity like this can often pay off where they're trying behind to get their act together. And you can imagine, as far as the Rabobank team are concerned, they've been doing all the work right now, and they're going to be this stuff. They'll be losing momentum. Brown will be looking for a wheel to follow. The momentum might come out from the chase, because they're all going to look at Graham Brown for the sprint. Just an ideal opportunity for someone like this guy to go down the road and say, they'll be sorting it out. It's going to be a sprint finish. I'll go down the road while the sprinters' teams are looking at each other. Super tactics.
Well, you know what's happened. The other Bodnar has had a go for Liquigas. Miseta Bodnar, the brother of Lucas, has been leading out there. He's clearly wanting to make an impression as well. He's the Polish rider, the only Pole indeed on board the Liquigas outfit. He'll be working for Danilo De Luca, but Masec has really had a crack amongst that group, and he's speeding up around the fat side, the right-hand side of the peloton at the moment. But out front is Rick Verbrugge, who's still managing to maintain a little bit of a gap here, and well, he looks determined enough. He's a big lad as well. He's a full all 6 foot plus of him, and well, he's looking comfortable there, David. The rest of the peloton are going to have some serious work to do, and they're all battling with each other at the moment. They look to have eased off in the chase to get him.
Yeah, Rick Verbrugge, see, when you look back there, the great Roger riders looking at the other show and saying, what do we do now? Where do we go? How can we sort him out? And the answer is now he's on his way. He's won stages in the Tour of Italy, by the way, in the past. Tour de France stage he won the prologue in the Tour of Italy as well. He's got that ability to go full bore out. You imagine if you can win a prologue in something like the Tour de France, the Tour of Italy, you've got the ability to go over a short distance. And right now he's got the encouragement of people. This is firing him up right now. A 12-point case to go. It's a bit too far, I think, as far as he's concerned. He may die, but depends on the chasing coming up. Champion of Belgium in years gone by as well. He knows what it's all about. He's chosen exactly the right time to go.
Well, the peloton as well is all spread out, and as you can see, there's an awful lot of Euskadi riders further back out of it at the moment. They've got to regather themselves. Liquigas are looking purposeful. So's Crédit Agricole, that we thought may well start to shine. Maybe they're going to save themselves until a little bit later. It's a young outfit for Crédit Agricole. No real standouts amongst them. I'm not being unkind by saying that. Francesco Bellotti, of course, will probably come up to us and bonkers on the nose later on. But out front there, it is Verbrugge who just gets through the chicane, as it were, here with a solitary hay bale, I think, for a cameraman to sit on.
It's got a good tactic. I just think he's gone about 3 or 4 or 5 Ks too soon. He got the ability, but look how he's strung the whole field out now. But the interesting is, if the leading peloton here begin to sort of say, well, we've had enough of it, now they're going to catch him. And oh, look, it's Lampre. Lampre, I think, a bit sore from yesterday.
Yeah,
they have got a few scores to settle. Lampre are doing the damage. Lampre know what they're doing here. Bad luck for Rick. He chose the right thing to do, but I think he did it 5 Ks too soon.
Well, just watch out for Grabowski of Quick-Step as well. They're teaming up with him. They've got Hubert Schwab on board as well, the Swiss. He'll probably come into his own when we get nearer to the mountains. Thank you very much for the art shot, but let's have a look at how Verbrugge's holding these guys
He's taken a flyer.
He has taken a flyer, yeah, absolutely. But Lampre it is that are on his case at the moment, and Liquigas are part of the vanguard. They, yesterday, were the ones that kept Liquigas at bay, and I think they neutralised each other, David, and that just opened it up for Graham Brown to come through and do his own thing. They kind of broke up any single team kind of drive for the front. Liquigas were the spoilers. Lampre were the ones who had their party ruined. And look at this, a big square front. There's plenty of manoeuvring going on here, and all of a sudden Crédit Agricole start to come through and have a look-see here.
Yes, at the moment though, it's still too early on. We're about 10 Ks yet to go, apart from the motorcycle race going on. It's a bit all right now as the officials start thundering off towards the finish. There is no pattern behind here at all at the moment. Now this is ideal. If they come back together, which they will do, somebody out on the left-hand side here, beginning but will take a flyer like Rick Verbrugge did, because they're trying to control it from the front. They can't watch the whole thing down. So wait when he gets caught. I think we'll probably find somebody will join and somebody will go whizzing off the left-hand. Look on the left-hand side. Look, wait. As they catch him, but they're going a bit too quick, I think, at the moment. They have to slow it down. No, it's going a bit too quick for them to try and make any damage. They have to wait till he comes back together. Then they'll start jumping. No, he's just hopeful, showing himself on the old telly. Hello, Mum, here I am. This needs to come down. When it slows, it's going to slow, and then the jumping around comes.
Right, well, it's Sonia Duval making the break, and Crédit Agricole as well have just slung one of their guys out in front here. There's all kinds of breaks going on. Well, the looks for support from the front men. They're just wondering where their team are here. No. And look at the speed now. We're up to 54 kilometres an hour. This is going to be fast. And the danger is, once we come into the 3 kilometres to go mark, you just have a look. It's actually the 1 kilometre mark. There's a nasty turn just before it. And they're all starting to talk about it here.
That's the problem. Going too fast too soon, they get tired legs. You get a wodge like this, and the orange on the right-hand side.
Muscatel, they're starting to pick up.
And also be careful. You got the Graham Brown's team as well are in orange. So we've got to pick out the Escatel teams who had one of their riders finish up there. What was he back in third or fourth, seventh or eighth? Escatel, ninth. So here we in there likewise. But again now we've got the the quick step riders going on the front, that speed at which they went there, nobody could go and attack, but conversely the speed was so high they've got to come back together again, because it needs to get congealed a bit. There's no pattern at the moment at all. That was a stupid thing to do. That long string like that, there was nowhere they were going to win. There was nowhere they were going to break it up. I don't understand why it happened, except to get the name on telly.
Well, Dimitar Grabowski for Quick Step, we mentioned him earlier on. He's come to the fore on the 91 rider. He's leading at the moment. He needs a bit of protection. There he is, and well, we'll see if he gets it. He's got close order and a lot of attention from the Lamprey boys at the moment, but well, this Ukrainian, he knows a thing or two about pushing late on, and it is very late in the day as Lamprey pick it up once again. Lamprey having another push here. Astana also in the mix here, waiting to pounce. It's fascinating stuff, David. You just can't call it.
I think Graham Brown is long way back. I'm trying to spot him out in the leader's jersey right now, but this is playing right into his hands. Keep the speed up, allow him to sit in the bunch and get this. No, that's the yellow, that's Son of Duval. I'm trying to yes, Graham Brown there with the blue shorts and the yellow. There he is. Now look, I don't think he's got many teammates round about him. He's working his way through. He can read this like an open book.
Well, let's hope so, because let's hope it's a pleasant story with a happy ending for him. We're about to find out, because the run for home is right now, and it's between Quick Step and Lamprey. They really are starting to boss things, but also Euskaltel in the frame here, and Rabobank starting to make their move. It's 8 kilometres to go, and they're just, well, fighting for position here. Look how widely spread everyone is here. It's difficult to throw a water bottle away, as you can see, if you're in the centre of the pack. They've got to watch out for that. Well, the pace really being kept at the very, very highest out there, David.
De Luca keeping out of trouble there in the white jersey, then for the Liquigas team. I think what the Liquigas riders trying to do here is make sure there's no big crashes coming. Nibali might try and go for a long one like he did before, but they've got to slow it down. I don't think you've got to catch chance in hell of breaking this up, but certainly I think they're trying to keep out of trouble, because they know the sprinters will push and shove, and that's where the crashes come. So perhaps on this occasion Liquigas are going more to keep out of trouble than trying to get in with a shout for the sprint, because well, De Luca, Nibali, I don't think they can go except if this thing slows down. It ain't slowing down now at all. So well, still the sprinters licking their lips, I can tell you.
De Luca, known as the killer from Spoltani. Apparently it does rhyme in Italian. But there you go.
We're going two sprint finishes this race.
Yeah,
one
exactly.
on one side, one the other.
They'll be back together in a moment. Yeah, the points leader of the Pro Series Tour is there in, if you just look at amongst the leaders, he's in 4th spot, dressed all in white, but he is with his Liquigas teammates. So that is his team all around him, and 3 men working very, very hard for him at the moment.
Interesting, on the left-hand side, the Rabobank team are keeping well out of trouble over on the left, and Graham Brown is out of the frame at the moment. He's doing his own thing. So interesting that the Rabobank team are doing with their own thing on one side, and Graham Brown's gone off and done his own thing in the centre. That's typical of him.
You know, I think Liquigas yesterday thought they dropped the baton somewhat, and the Lamprey, they kind of spoiled each other's run for home in there, and it's Nibali, Vincenzo Nibali, who takes the point at the moment for these boys. They're keeping the pace very, very high, David, and even for those who are following in the main bunch, they're going to have to, you know, there's plenty of effort being expanded here to actually keep up with the leaders. I know that they're doing most of the work because they're on the point. It's exactly what Lamprey did yesterday, and we've got movers here, David, right on the outside.
Yeah, T-Mobile then, because Ciolek is another man who could probably go for a victory. Had a couple of good victories just recently. I think Ciolek, I picked him yesterday, has been in with a shout, and he made the right clanger yesterday, was in the right place at the right time. So again, T-Mobile looking at Ciolek, I think, trying to get him in a good position.
Well, we'll see how they run in, but this is looking very good for Danilo De Luca at the moment. There he is, all in white. He's a real powerhouse when it comes to cycling. A series leader, naturally enough, you'd expect that, but well, Liège, was it the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and that he took as well? His Pro Tour is something that he has been enjoying out there. Giro winner, of course, and 2 stage wins, and well, you can't take much away from him. He is star turn as far as this is concerned, and well, he's many people's tipped for victory in the overall at the end of this one. He's at the point at the moment, leading like a leader should, perhaps.
Yeah, he's doing the work right now, but I think he got the sprint leg. It's interesting to see that the Polish rider Badnar, number 21, was actually leading the string through earlier on. I think they're keeping out of trouble right now. I think the big thing they're trying to do is to make sure they don't come a big box of tricks. So we still again, the Liquigas team, I'm not sure they're looking for a victory. I think what they're trying to do is keep out of trouble, keep the pace high, and let the sprinters come around them in towards the end, and hoping maybe that their sheer speed can open it up so the sprinters don't have a chance to play today. But I don't think it's going to work out that way. What a fantastic run we're having in here towards the finish. It's fortunately the big wide roads, and look at the riders pushing. You imagine travelling this sort of rate of knots, then when you're down there, Carlton, it's amazing. You just ran about you, and you suddenly look up and there's a
I had a huge fear.
Twist this that way, something. It's quite exciting, isn't it, by the way?
Unbelievable. I had a huge fear for a moment there, just as they split to go round one of those small traffic islands. There was a chap waving frantically, but the centre of the peloton was really unsighted as they continued to split. Thankfully, everyone got through it. Let's hope we don't get any sort of road rashing here today, because we'd just love to keep this one clean in the run for home. Tremendous. And, well, it's the Liquid Gas boys who are doing most of the work out there. Tremendous push for home here, and it's Kuczynski, Alexander Kuczynski, who's gone to the point now, and De Luca just taking a rest behind these boys. And, well, there he is, the white jersey, just slotted in. Quick Step also tidy about it as well. They've been there or thereabouts all day, and Lamprey waiting to pounce here.
Well, Liquid Gas...
Look at the speed.
Yes, I know. They're probably gone too soon, but Filippo Pozzato, I think they're trying to say, can we set him up for a chance of getting a victory? They've gone too soon. Pozzato would be in with a shout, but look, they're drifting off the front now, because I think they've gone too soon, too far, too fast, and now they're beginning to struggle quite a bit. They're still keeping the pressure up then, as yet again Badnar, the Polish rider for Liquid Gas, starts to plough forward and whip this thing along. The sheer speed of these riders, well, Pozzato will be hanging on in, looking for a chance to stay in the wheels, and looking over his shoulder again, yet again. Then De Luca is looking comfortable at the moment, and he's making it difficult, by the way, as the sprinters start coming out. They think they're waiting for it to slow down a bit, but they're keeping the pace up so high, so fast. And on the right-hand side, it looks like we're having another little string of riders beginning to come down. But those look like the riders from either AG2R, or is it going to be the...
Astana.
Is it Astana? Yes, it is.
Yep.
No,
well,
it's all hands to the plough now.
It is. Everybody is out there. They all want a piece of this. And to be honest, it's going to be an absolute vulture fest at the end. I just hope that they keep it clean and there's nobody lying on the ground at the end of it. It's a tremendous run in this. Filippo Pozzato, they're trying to just keep his powder dry amongst the Liquid Gas boys. And to be honest, I don't think De Luca is going to be the man to go for the sprint. He's starting to roll just a little bit. He's doing too much work early on here, David,
all
to be featuring at the end. Oh, that's tight. That was very, very tight. Suddenly the road just goes into a single. You see them spanning out now.
Oh,
what is going on here? This is an absolute nightmare. Who put that there? That is absolutely disgraceful.
I've never ever seen something so ridiculous in bike racing as that. Looks like a police car blocking the road, and he's blocking the race. It is unbelievable. That's destroyed the whole of the tactics. It's taken the path, and they don't know they're going left and right. Oh, this is unbelievable.
I think they've taken the wrong turn, David. I think that's all it can be, because you wouldn't have coaches parked like that. They've all taken shortcuts as well through here. It's an absolute nightmare. And what's it done? Well, it's allowed those who have got through cleanly. If you're at the point of the peloton there, you were on the long string, David, and it's kept the whole bunch there completely in disarray. This is unbelievable.
I think Team CSC looked good at the moment. I can see the black and red colours. Looked like they were coming after this rider from the Francis de Joux at the moment, having a go for this one. Francis de Joux in the action. Could that be Sandy Cazard or Francis Guédon? Because he's a jolly good backer under these conditions. Certainly Sandy Cazard would be the man who will stay out of trouble near the front right now. But they're pulling back at him. And what's going to happen with the CSC? They start to close the gap too as well. What an unbelievable run in towards the finish.
Oh, what a huge joker to be thrown into the pack. A police car standing in the middle of the course that the riders had decided to take. I don't know whether they've taken the wrong turn or not, but Kasari's a strong climber and a huge explosive finisher as well. He's keeping himself ready and waiting here. The crowd are waiting expectantly inside the finish line here in Gdansk. What a run for home we're going to have.
CSC still on the front. The black and red. Is this Jens Voigt, by the way? The very skilled rider looking back here. And
what do you want to do, he says. Where are we going to go? Where's his teammates? How are we going to play this? Well, you can play your own game, but Quick Step suddenly go up another notch here, and away we go. We've got the individual burst for the line here, and I think this, David, might well be it.
And certainly then, as far as they're concerned, there's no sign, as with 1K to go for the yellow jersey. Graham Brown is out of the frame. He's hanging back off the frame. He can't defend his jersey now. What's going to happen? Who's going to take the victory? And the time bonus, 10 seconds bonus as well, could change the overall victory. Still, Quick Step on the front.
Tremendous run for home here. It's the final drive, the final couple of curves here. Two right-handers, and then it's the push for the line. It's been an absolute mess out front, you have to say, with a police car stood in the middle of the track, crossways across it now, and through they come again, David.
James Brown is there, but he's about 15 riders back. Brown is fighting his way through. I can see the yellow jersey working his way through. Brown is out the saddle. He's coming. Look on the left-hand side. Brown is coming at it. He has to close the gap. Can he get up there?
Has he left it too late? He's got 15 men in front of him. The time's running out now. The line's coming here. Brown's left it too late. The finish of today's stage, the third stage of the Tour of Poland, imminent now. Across the line they come. What an end to today. Whoa, you just couldn't have called it, David. What on earth was that police car doing? There's going to be huge questions asked. I think it was maybe route marshals had actually sent them the wrong way because they went onto a single lane. I couldn't believe what was happening. We're going to just have to hang on here for the result. We were ahead on camera there, but boy, oh boy, Brown couldn't get back in it at all. And what an exciting end, but it wasn't the end that anyone would have wanted at all.
Not at all, but Brown still finished maybe 6th, 7th, 8th back from there. But given the same time as the victor, but bear in mind those 10 seconds bonuses, then the 6 and 2 going back after that. Will it dislodge the overall victory? Will the jersey go? I don't know. We'll wait and see because that one, because undoubtedly an amazing finish, and Brown, I think he would have a few words to say about that.
Well, I just can't believe that. I think, to be honest, the route marshal sent them the wrong way. I can only think that that's the case, David, because all of a sudden there was coaches parked and they went from 2 lanes to 1 in very short order, and there's a police car across the road further down.
What it shows here, the skill of these bike riders. They're travelling at over 13 miles an hour, and they stayed upright. We don't have any fill out toward the back. The ability of these riders to actually race, handle their bikes and get round because they're just looking ahead. Somebody peels out in front of you. The skill of these bike riders, that just shows you what these professionals, what their job is all about. And undoubtedly we've seen some great bike handling today on this stage 3. We've not seen many things like this in the past, but I tell you, chapeau, congratulations to every bike rider, the way in which they raced in today. Guerrestano going for the victory right now. We'll wait to confirm that for you as Guerrestano it is. And in fact, just behind him, it looked like one of the riders from the Lampre team was losing his back wheel. I don't know when he punctured or he just slipped his back wheel, but no doubt about it. Guerrestano powering towards the finish. Lampre coming through again, so we'll have to wait for confirmation of that because we were all screwed up in our commentary point with what was happening further back as to where the yellow jersey was, but certainly them. No doubt about it. This unusual finish, taking that one. Wow.
Well, this was the moment that really got our mouth in our hands. Suddenly the coaches were there. We suspected we were on the wrong route, and then confirmation, surely. The police car just suddenly could not move. He couldn't get out in time. And, well, it was great bike handling skills that made them, that meant that the entire peloton got through safely as far as we know. Unbelievable. Well, there you have it, David. What an end to today. Gerald Steiner, was it Fabian Wegmann? We'll wait and see. It could be,
because he's also picked up a time bonus earlier on. So if he got those extra 10 seconds there and that bonus taking the sprint finish, then undoubtedly that will make a change to the overall classification. We'll wait for confirmation of that one as I go and change my underpass. I've never seen it like that in my life before. It was something else to believe in. And can you imagine what those bike riders, that just shows you again the sheer ability and skill of these bike riders. That was something else really at the top draw, wasn't it?
It really was. Well, we're all just holding our breath, and thank goodness there wasn't anything serious that went down there. There's going to be questions asked, I have to say. We've not had the best of luck with the pictures today. The relays via the helicopter have just got the better of us. But one of the Guerrestano boys, it was that crossed the line. We're not sure if it's Fabian Wegmann or Beersberg, maybe. We will wait and see.
Well, Wegmann started out 8 seconds down on the general classification as at this morning. He picked up the 1 second bonus further down the track, so he got 7 seconds there. And if he got the 10 seconds there, no doubt about the Brown was fighting his way through, but Brown was around about 6th or 7th, I suppose. So, in fact, it could be, if that was Wegmann from Guerrestano, which could be on the sprint finish like that, then that should take him, I suspect,
look at this. How on earth did they manage to avoid that? And just watch the front of the police car here as they start to split, how close they get to the front bumper. Whee! Goodness me, chaps. Well done, everybody. They were all on the brakes there. It really disrupted the sprints, and Lampre, I think, can feel most aggrieved by that. Unbelievable. The car had actually stalled. He was trying to push it out of the way. Did you see that? Unbelievable.
I know on Eurosport, look at it again here. They didn't know which way. The policeman in the centre is looking like his light's gone out.
Well, he needs to get out of that position. He was wondering which way to go.
Unbelievable.
Well, disaster. To be honest, you know, if this was the Tour de France, there'd be people with strips.
It wouldn't be the Tour de France. It wouldn't be the Tour de France.
I do appreciate that, and I know it's a Pro Series event, but you've got some quality riders here. Is that a tyre that's gone at the back there, David, or was it contact?
I don't know. His back wheel, he could have got a slow puncture or something, and it could have been all over the place because it was snaking. But no doubt about it, I think that could be vague, but if so, it could be a change overall in general classification. Sitting up, looking not very happy about the situation. Napolitano was there in 4th spot, so I think he going to the stage today. But there 1, 2. Where's Napolitano? No, he was out of the time bonuses too. So there he just finished across the line in 4th. He didn't get any time bonuses either. He finished 4th yesterday, so he's out the frame. There, Brown. Look at that. He came through from way behind. No doubt about it. Sure, he'll have a few choices, Australian words to say about that finish.
I'm sure he will. Well, what a day we've had here on the Tour of Poland, the 3rd stage. And, well, we were all pumped up, were we not? Particularly at the end there. And look at Gdansk. Is that a beautiful place? It certainly is. And there it is.
It was,
David,
Rogas. I got him down there.
David Cup. It was, indeed. And, well, there, the rest of it.
And yeah, now it's interesting because Rokas finished I think 7th yesterday, so Kopp was 6th yesterday, 10 seconds back. He was 10 seconds down this morning, so he's now got 10 seconds bonus, which gives him the same as Graham Brown. Now then, if they've got the same time, they're going to have to go back. There's no been prologue time trial, so the overall classification, Graham Brown finished there in 8th spot. Rumpf says that they could be both at 10 seconds because Kopp would have got 10 seconds bonus. I'm just making sure, was he 10 seconds? Yeah, he was. I think he was down 10 seconds this morning, was Kopp, and in 6th spot at 10 seconds back. Graham Brown, he's going 10 seconds. Oof, they're equal.
They're equal, so who does the jersey go to, unless they've got a double armour?
Oh,
We'll wait and see. David Kopp, there it is. That is being given the general classification behind Vaillant from Quick-Step. What do you say about that?
Well, there you go. What a day.
What a day. We've just about nailed that one together, albeit with rusty nails today. I fancy a rusty nail now. That's a Whiskey Drambuie, I think. What a day we've had on the Tour of Poland. We'll be back live again tomorrow from me, Carlton Kirby, and David Duffield. Bye for now.